All right, Module 3. Module 3, we learned about financial planning. We learned the different steps for financial planning. The first thing you need to do is you need to analyze your situation. Look at your situation. Do you have money saved up already? Do you have a job? You know, what is your source of income? You have to look at what your situation is and see where you're starting from. Then you want to identify your goals. You have to know what you're working toward. Then you want to start making a plan. You know where you're starting from. You know where you're going to. Let's start making a plan on how to get there. You need to calculate the risks. This was a question from Module 3. It doesn't seem like there would be risks in something like buying a house or buying a car, but there really are a lot of risks, and we're going to talk about that in a couple more slides. Then you start to implement your plan. You're going to put your plan into action. And then finally, you want to review and revise your plan and your goals. Because as you're going through, you know, this may be years that you're in the process of going through this financial plan, things are going to change. You could lose your job. You could get a better job and have more income. Somebody could give you a car if that's what you were saving for, and now you no longer have to save for that car. So things happen all the time. So you need to constantly look back over your plan, look back over your goals, and you need to revise and adjust. Okay? Any questions about that? Give me a smiley if all that makes sense. All right. We have different, this really shouldn't be the next slide, but we have different resources that we can use to achieve our goal. We all have time. Poor Ms. Goldstein, you guys got to give her some questions. We all have 24 hours in the day, okay? What are you going to do with that time? Okay, some people have, even though we have 24 hours in a day, some people have less time because they have more responsibilities. But we have time as a resource to achieve our goals. We also have money. Again, some people have more than others. And that's something that we can use to achieve our goals. If you want to go to college, you know, you need money to go to college. So is that something that you have? Is it something that you need to earn? And then energy. Energy is the work you're going to put into something. So these are the three resources that we have to achieve our goals. Okay, I said how there are risks involved in financial planning and in achieving our goals. One of the risks that we have is inflation. Inflation is when the cost of things fluctuate, go up or down. Typically they go up. One thing that I think about all the time with this is when I was in high school and I started driving, I would pull into the gas station and I would feel around on the floor of my car until I could come up with some nickels and dimes and maybe a couple quarters if I could find any of those. And that's where I'd get my gas money, off the floor of my car, and I could put like a half a tank of gas in my car for that. Now, I couldn't put a gallon of gas in my car with the change on the floor because the cost of gas has gone up. So, yep, way less than $1 a gallon. So that was back in the olden days. So inflation is how the prices are typically going to increase. So then you have income. Income is a risk because you may have a job now, but you may not have a job tomorrow. So if your goal is counting on you bringing in $1,000 a week or $2,000 a month to pay for, say, a car loan or something like that, you have the risk that you may lose your job. I always feel old. Then there's the income risk. I'm sorry, interest risk. Sometimes we take out loans that do not have a fixed interest rate. Okay, there are some mortgages where you would not have a fixed interest rate. And so you take out that, yes, it's never a good idea, but sometimes, especially if you don't have good credit, which you'll learn about more in Module 8, that may be the only type of loan that you have available to you. And so, so the interest rate risk is, you may be starting off paying off a loan that has a low interest rate, and then that interest rate starts to increase and increase and increase, and pretty soon you can't afford those payments. The same thing can happen with a credit card. Your interest rate on a credit card could always increase, and oftentimes does. Then you have personal risk. With personal risk, that could be you could get into an accident and break your leg, and then now you can't work. So now you've got, because of this personal risk, now you have an income risk also, because you may lose your job. You could get sick, different things like that. Okay, any questions about those, or does that all make pretty much sense? Give me a smiley if you're good with that. Fantastic, you guys are awesome. All right, here's some tips on making good financial decisions. I love my little dreamy guy with his little heart. You want to leave the emotions out, okay? It's never a good idea to make a decision based on emotions. One big one is usually when people buy a puppy. They're buying that puppy based on emotions. They're not thinking about vet bills and you know, grooming bills. I know my dog costs a fortune to groom. And so, you know, you always want to leave those emotions out. You want to take your time, sleep on it. Don't make a decision right away. One thing that my parents always taught me is if you're being pressured to make a decision, you know, you're only going to get this deal for the next 10 minutes, so you have to sign this paper right now, walk away. Anytime you're going to be pressured into a decision to make it, you know, in a very short amount of time, you're probably going to regret that decision down the line. So you want to take your time, especially with big decisions, buying a car, buying a house, anything like that. You take your time, sleep on it. You want to look at how it fits in with your other goals, okay? If you're already saving for something or planning for something, and then an opportunity comes up for you to purchase something else, how does that fit into your goal that you already have? Is that going to set you back? Is that going to completely throw that goal out the window because you just put all your money into something else? So you really want to take that into consideration. Here's a big one. Do you see a pattern? Do you look back over your life and see that you made several decisions based on emotions, or you did it impulsively, or it didn't fit in with your plan? Do you see a pattern that you do keep making decisions that later on you really regret and wish that you didn't make? And you know, look at what you did when you made that decision, and you want to break that pattern. Okay? Any questions on that? Give me a smiley if that's good.